The Psychology of Living Simply, Why We Create Complexity and How to Escape It. Have you ever felt like life is just too complicated? Like there's always something more to do, more to achieve, more to worry about? You're not alone. In today's world, simplicity feels out of reach. But what if the key to happiness isn't adding more, but wanting less? Throughout history, great thinkers have embraced simplicity, showing us that a fulfilled life doesn't come from having everything, but from knowing what truly matters. In this video, we'll explore why we create unnecessary complexity, the psychology behind it, and how we can break free to live a simpler, more meaningful life. Let's start with a story. One day, a wise philosopher walked with his students through a crowded marketplace. The stalls were filled with fine clothes, exotic foods, and expensive trinkets. The students eagerly browsed, admiring all the goods. But the philosopher simply smiled and said, "Look at all these things I do not need." That philosopher was Diogenes, one of the great minds of ancient Greece. He lived in near poverty by choice, because he believed happiness does not come from having more, but from needing less. But why is this so hard for us today? Why do we complicate life with endless desires, responsibilities, and stress? Let's explore the psychology of simplicity, how we create unnecessary complexity, and how we can return to a more natural way of living. Why we create complexity? Thousands of years ago, life was simple. Find food, stay safe, connect with others. But as societies evolved, so did our desires and expectations. And as a result, we've made life more complicated than it needs to be. But is this complexity real, or is it a mental trap we create for ourselves? 1. The illusion of more equals happiness. The psychologist Barry Schwartz coined the term the paradox of choice, the idea that having too many options makes us anxious instead of happy. Ancient humans had few choices, and their minds were at peace. But today we're bombarded with decisions: what to buy, where to go, who to follow on social media. And instead of feeling free, we feel overwhelmed and dissatisfied. 2. Chasing status and external validation. A businessman once visited a peaceful fishing village and met a fisherman resting by his small boat after catching just enough fish for the day. The businessman asked, "Why don't you stay out longer and catch more fish?" The fisherman replied, "Because this is enough for my family. I sell a few, share some with my friends, and enjoy my day." The businessman scoffed, "But if you caught more fish, you could sell them and buy a bigger boat." "And then," the fisherman asked, "with a bigger boat, you'd catch even more fish, make more money, and buy a fleet. You could then open a factory, export seafood, and become rich." The fisherman chuckled, "And then what?" "Then you could retire, move to a quiet village, fish a little, spend time with family, and relax by the sea." The fisherman smiled and said, "But I'm already doing that." This story reveals a deep truth. We chase things we already have, simply because society tells us we should want more. But in reality, happiness is not found in endless growth. It's found in knowing when you have enough. 3. The fear of missing out, FOMO. Psychologists have found that humans fear being left behind. We constantly compare ourselves: who has the better job, house, or life. Social media amplifies this, making us feel that everyone else is ahead. But this is an illusion. Life is not a competition. What can nature teach us about simplicity? If we look at nature, we find balance and simplicity. A tree doesn't rush to grow. It takes its time, knowing that everything happens in its own season. A river doesn't fight obstacles. It flows around them effortlessly. Animals don't stress about the past or future. They live in the present. What if we applied the same wisdom to our lives? How to simplify life and avoid man-made complexity. 1. Adopt the rule of enough. Socrates once stood before an audience and held up a simple cup. He asked, "How much water do you need to satisfy your thirst?" The answer was simple: enough. Life works the same way. You don't need an excess of money, possessions, or achievements, just enough to be content. 2. Remove the non-essential, psychological minimalism. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself." Ask yourself, what in my life is truly necessary? What am I doing just because others expect it? What mental clutter can I remove? The less you carry, the lighter your journey. 3. Embrace the slow life philosophy. The Japanese concept of ikigai teaches that happiness comes from doing small, meaningful actions every day. It's not about rushing to success, but finding joy in simple routines, drinking tea, walking in nature, or talking with a friend. When we slow down, we actually get more out of life. 4. Stop overthinking and live in the present. Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoism, once said, "If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present." We complicate life by dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. But if we let go, we find that the present moment is always simple and enough. Final thoughts. Life is already simple. The complexity we feel is not real. It is created by our minds. When we remove distractions, stop chasing what we don't need, and learn from nature, we find that simplicity is the key to happiness. So what's one way you can simplify your life today? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on psychology, nature, and the art of simple living.